going to start out by cropping this one just a little bit, and I'm also going to take out this plug-in situation with the remove tool. Now I'm actually going to do a background layer, which I'll probably edit a little bit more later, but I just want to make sure that this shadow is not looking a little bit too orange, which you can kind of tell here. So I'm going to decrease the saturation a tad just so that it's looking as natural as possible. And then we're going to go back into our regular settings, and I'm going to increase the exposure just a little bit. I really love the high contrast in this, so I'm going to continue to maintain that. I'm going to decrease the highlights just a tad just because I don't want her face to be overexposed. I'm going to increase some of the shadows just so that we get a little bit of definition in her hair, and we're going to decrease the whites a little bit again. I also really want to enhance that natural lighting, so I'm going to go and create a linear gradient, and it's going to come from the same light source towards her face, and probably stop it right about there. And I'm going to increase the exposure just a little bit, and I'm going to really increase that temperature. And then I'm going to come over to effects and decrease clarity and dehaze, and then I'm going to extend that mask all the way here, so we're really getting that light. I don't want her to lose any definition on her face though, so I'm going to go back in with a brush mask, and I'm going to go over her face and just go back and add some of that sharpness that we may have lost with the effects. I'm going to go back into that original layer that we did, and I'm going to increase the shadows just because I don't like how dark they are. I really am liking that so far, so we're going to go back into our regular settings, and we're going to increase the exposure again, decrease the highlights, increase some of that contrast, and maybe warm up this photo. I feel like I can do with that natural lighting look, but I don't want the origins to go too crazy, so I'm going to come in here and decrease the saturation just a little bit. And I'm still not liking that shadow on the back, so I went back into the first layer that we did, and I'm going to decrease the blacks as much as possible just so that we get that nice white ball. And I'm going to select the subject again, and I'm going to increase the sharpness just a little bit more to make sure that everything is nice and neat. And I'm going to decrease the shadows, and I'm going to increase the exposure just a little bit just to match what we just did to the background. Last but not least, I really want the color of her jeans to pop, so I'm going to go into the blues. I'm going to decrease the hue just a little bit to get that more of the turquoise color, and I'm going to increase the saturation and decrease the luminance. And that's about it. Thank you so much for watching.